Hi, my name's Eric Kirkpatrick, Kirkpatrick Law Offices in Belleville, Illinois. What I wanted to talk to you about today is something that doesn't come up very often, but it does come up. And that is this question. Can my spouse recover under the Workers' Compensation Act for the care she gives to me while I'm recovering from an injury? The answer to that is yes, but in certain circumstances. So let me give you a couple of examples. I had shoulder surgery several years ago. My wife stayed home a day or two from work to try to take care of me. I sat on the couch. I watched TV. I took care of myself the best that I could, but my wife helped me with things like giving me ice packs, cooked my meals, did sorts of things for me that I would have done had my shoulder not been messed up. But those were things that she probably would have done anyway, or that I would have done for her. Now then, compare that to the situation where a person is what I'll call catastrophically injured. Your wife or your husband, after your injury, has to provide you with things that are akin to nursing care. For example, a client recently, in talking with them, they were released from the hospital in a wheelchair due to hip fractures. The wife, instead of having a nurse come into the home, his wife got training from the hospital on how to change the IV bags, how to transfer him from the wheelchair into the bed, how to get him to the bathroom, how to clean him up, how to give him the IV antibiotics, how to clean his wounds. She learned that from a nurse, and she basically took the place of what an in-home nurse would have done. My point is, what she did was more akin to medical care and treatment that would have required the services of somebody else, but for her taking that on her own. Now, it doesn't fit every circumstance because everybody's not just like that, where they need help transferring from wheelchair to the bed and all of those things that go along with it. But the point is, the spouse can recover if the care is such that it is akin to medical treatment or care, something that would have otherwise had to be paid for, or more time in the hospital. So now the question is, how much? Well, there's conflicting case law on things different ways. Some would suggest that it's the ongoing price of nursing care, which is generally a pretty good amount of money. There's other case law that suggests that it's at the rate that the spouse would be earning at her current job, or what she earned in her last job. And then there's other case law that suggests that it might be minimum wage, but certainly no less than minimum wage. Now, on that issue, you're not going to get awarded money for care and treatment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I think it's got to be limited in, the amount of time that's actually spent giving those services. But the point is, this can be something that is recoverable either as the case is ongoing or when the case is arbitrated. It's certain qualifications and things, certain steps you have to go through and certain things you have to prove, but it is in fact something that is recoverable. I just want to point that out because that's an easily forgotten issue, and I know that people who are injured really don't want to be cared by an in-home nurse. They don't want to spend any more time in the hospital, so they make arrangements for their spouse to take care of them. It's considered a medical expense under the Workers' Compensation Act. So have a good day. Again, my name's Eric Kirkpatrick with Kirkpatrick Law Offices, 618-239-6070. Thank you. Hi, this is Eric Kirkpatrick with Kirkpatrick Law Offices in Belleville, Illinois. I spoke one time on an issue about nursing care, being paid for nursing care when a spouse has to take care of someone who's catastrophically injured. As I said in that video, fortunately that doesn't happen very often, that people are catastrophically injured such that they need ongoing in-home nursing or medical care. But the other thing that occurred to me was, for people that are catastrophically injured, for example, paralysis, something of that nature, where permanent modifications need to be made to the home or vehicle and things of that nature, the insurance company in a workers' compensation case is responsible for all of those aspects. If you get injured at work, you become where you're unable to work if you're injured at work and you become, for example, unable to walk or wheelchair bound, a lot of times your wheelchair will prevent you from getting in the house without a ramp on the front. And then maybe the doors on the home aren't wide enough for your wheelchair to get through them. Things that people don't think about are roll-under cabinets in the house, roll-under sinks. The bathroom has to be a certain size for a wheelchair to be able to be maneuvered so that a person can take a shower. A wheel-in shower. These are just some examples. Stairs. I've had situations in the past where we've been able to have the insurance company come in and pay to have that wheelchair ramp built. I've had them have to pay for renovations to the house. All of those things, and in fact, in at least one occasion, we've had a situation where the house could not be renovated. So it was incumbent on the insurance company to just build a new home. In fact, it was more efficient to build a new home than it was for any renovations to even be attempted in this old home. And that doesn't mean you get, to build the Taj Mahal or something, but a comparable house that meets all of the ADA qualifications and requirements. The handrails in the restroom, plenty of space, higher toilets, a lot of things that people don't think about. Goes without saying, this includes a car. Sometimes it's a van, sometimes it's hand controls or accommodations in that respect. But the point is, don't let the insurance company just ignore you if you're one of those people that has that kind of catastrophic accident. There are provisions under the Work Comp Act for them to have to pay for every expense that there is to make you whole. So with that said, in the event that you are catastrophically injured and have any questions about that, just give me a call, 618-239-6070. Thanks.
Perfect.
How's that? Good?
Very good.